Today I'm going to show you how to make this dragon. This is actually the character Norville from Wallykazam. So in order to create him, you will need about 250 orange bands, a dark orange, about 30 white bands for the mouth and his horns, 4 of a pink band to create the inside of the tongue. You will also need 2 of a light orange colored for the nostrils. I used the Rainbow Loom neon orange. You will also need a light colored yellow to create his spots. I used the Rainbow Loom jelly yellow, and you'll just need a couple of those. And then I also used 5 yellow pony beads and 2 white pony beads here for the eyes. If you don't have the pony beads on these here, you could always just use yellow bands, and instead of putting the bead onto the orange band, you would wrap the yellow 4 times on your hook to create this round effect. And you would do the same thing to create the eyes as well. So if you want to grab your supplies, then we'll go ahead and get started. The first part of him that we are going to create is going to be the top of his mouth. So you're going to start here on the top of your loom. We'll be using the dark orange bands, and we'll be using 2 bands coming down on the left. And we're going to come down 3 times. And we're going to repeat that on the right. And then we're going to come in to the center. And we want to go ahead and fill in the center part as well. And we also need to go ahead and create our snout portion. So you're going to take the 2 lighter orange bands, you're going to go on your hook and create 3 loops. You'll do that again with the other one. Then take a dark orange band and you're going to pull those on. And we're going to bring that from the 4th peg on the right to the 4th peg on the left. And then separate them on each side. Now we also need to make him a set of teeth. And this will be similar to what you've seen on DIY Mommy's video for like her hippo and stuff. You're just going to use the bottom of your loom. You're going to take a single white. Coming across, you're going to make a figure 8, just like that. And then you're going to take the bottom and twist it, and then bring it back around to the top. Once you've done that, you're going to go, not with this band, but underneath, and bring this over, and grab the underneath, and bringing that one over. We're then going to pull this off here. This is our little tooth, and it's going to go on the 4th peg down on the right. And we want to do the same thing for the left. So again, a single white, and make a figure 8, twist it, and bring it back around. Then go underneath, and pull it over. Same thing on the other side. And this one will go on the 4th peg on the left. We need to cap the bottom band. We're going to create 3 loops. So 1, 2, 3. Then we need to place some crossover bands. So on the second peg down, you're going to use 2 orange bands in a triangle. Repeat that again on the next 2. And this is what you should have. And once you've done that, we can go ahead and begin looping. So go in under the capping band, grabbing the first 2 and bringing those forward. And we can go ahead and go straight up. Going back in, my next 2 go to the left. And then the next 2 go to the right. We're then going to remove it from the bottom. Don't remove it all the way off yet. And then you want to grab your holding hook, and we're actually going to go in underneath. So you don't want to remove it from the top. You want to go grab it underneath with your hook. Just like that. And then you can go ahead and push up from the middle. Just push your finger into the middle. And if you want to, go ahead and fix his little snout bands so that they are showing on the correct side. And pull his teeth down. This is going to be the top of our snout, so we're going to set that aside for later. The next portion that we're going to be working on is the bottom of the mouth, and we'll be using white bands for that. So you're going to be using 2 white bands coming down from the left once. And repeat that on the right. We then want to bring it into the center with 2 bands. And coming into the center from the left as well. You then want to come down again 2 times with double bands on the left. Repeat that on the right. And then coming into the center. We then need to grab our pink, so taking 2 pink bands from the 3rd center peg, coming down once, and then do that again with 2 pink. We're then going to take a single white, creating 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to place some crossover bands. So taking a single white, you're going to double it, coming from the 2nd peg on the right to the 2nd on the left. Repeat that again on the 3rd, as well as the 4th peg. And once we've done that, we can go ahead and loop this up as well. Go in under the capping band, grabbing your 2 pinks and bringing those forward. Go ahead and bring the next pink up. Going in, grabbing the first 2 white, pulling those off to the left, and these off to the right. Going back in on the capping band, going to the left. And then repeat that going to the right. We can go ahead and remove this. Make sure you have a lot of places to put. This dragon has a lot of pieces and parts. fact, I'm running out of hooks to put them on. And this is the bottom of his mouth. The next part that we're going to create is the tail. We'll be using orange bands for that. And we are going to start at the top of the loom with single bands, single orange bands coming down 6 times. Repeat that on the right side. And we're then going to create a long V, so instead of coming into this center peg, you're going to stretch it out to the one below. Same thing on the other side. Now we're going to fill in the center with single orange. And then the next one, we're going to come down the center with 2 orange bands. And then 2 more. Now we're actually going to put our beads in place. So what you want to do, let me grab my beads. And we'll be using our yellow beads right now for this part. So you're going to take a single orange band and just push it through the bead. We're going to grab one side and then loop it through to the other so it looks like this. And then we're going to place that on the very bottom of the tail, kind of like a capping band. And then make sure the bead is facing down. We're going to do that again. And this one, we're going to skip one. So going up, we're going to skip one from where we were. So not this one, but on this peg here, which 5th peg from the bottom, this one will be placed on that peg. And the bead would be facing down. And we get another bead. Skip another peg and place it right here. I'm going to do that again. So skip one more and place it on the next peg up. And we're going to do that one more time. So skip this peg and on the next one up. Once we have the beads in place, we can go ahead and place our crossover bands. So taking a single orange on the second peg, we're going to single double. And we are just going to go single double almost all the way down. Another single double. Single double. Single double. And on the next one, this one will actually be 3 loops. So the easiest way to do that is to go on the peg, create 3 loops. Take your hook, and we're going to pull this straight across, just like that. And then on the very last peg, we want to create 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Once we have all that in place, we can go ahead and loop up our tail. So go in under the capping band and the beads and bring it forward. Then go in, grabbing our first single band, bringing that forward. Grabbing the next single, bringing it to the left, and the next single to the right. And we can now go ahead and loop straight up the middle. And go back in and looping up on the right. Gently pull because this is 3 loops. It's going to create tension. It could break your band. So just make sure to release that. And do the same thing on the left. And then we can go ahead and pull this off. And your beads are going to pop through to the back side, which is perfectly fine because the back side is actually the top of the tail. The beads are going to be where we want them to be. I need to find a hook. Okay. And then just go ahead and remove it. And this is what your tail should look like. And we're going to set that aside for later. The next thing that I'm going to show you how to make are going to be the front and the back legs and the horn. These are those 3 pieces right here. So I will show you how to make them. I've already made one of each, so I'll show you how to make one of each, and then you'll just need to pause the video to make your other ones. So the first one we're going to make is the horn. That's really simple and easy. Grab a single white band, double it, coming down once. Do that again, single, double. And we are then going to cap this off, creating 5 loops. If you can't create 5, you can always just do 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then go in under that capping band and loop this up. And remove it and set it aside for later. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to and make one more. And then we'll go ahead and make the next leg. The next one that we're going to create is the hind legs or the back legs. For this, we'll be using 3 orange bands. So you're going to come down 4 times with 3 orange bands. We're then going to take 3 more, and we're going to do those on the 2nd center to the 3rd center peg. And to cap off the bottom, I'm using a jelly yellow, creating 3 loops. And this is where we're going to start adding some of his accent colors. So the easiest way to do that, and there is no specific placement, so you can put as many or as little as you want, but for the leg I use 2, so I'm going to create 4 loops on my hook with my jelly yellow. Then you're going to go in under the capping band, grabbing the first 3, make sure you hold the capping band down, bringing that up. On this one, I'm going to grab my 3 bands, and then I'm going to pull one set onto that band and hook that up. Then going back in, and I'm bringing this one to the left, and then when I go in here, again, I'm going to grab these 3, or these jelly yellows, and pull them on. And then you want to go in here and bring this up. Once you've done that, grab your hook and remove that from the loom. And we'll just set that aside for later. So go ahead and pause the video, make another one. You can change up where you place your jellies as well. You put them anywhere on the leg that you'd like. And then we'll go ahead and make the next portion. Now one other piece we're going to make here is the front legs, and those will also be with 3 orange bands coming down 4 times. We're then going to cap that with a jelly yellow, making 3 loops. And I'm just going to add 1 jellied accent to this leg. So you go in under the capping band, bring that up. I'm going to place mine on this peg. And then I'm going to remove that and set it aside for later. We have one other additional piece to make before we start working on the body, and that is his little wing. So I'm going to show you how to make one of them. I've already made one, so you'll just need to pause the video to make the second one. You're going to start up here on the loom with a single orange and double it on the right hand side, coming down once. Do that again. Single double, and one more single double. You're then going to take 2 orange bands coming from the 4th peg on the right to the center 5th, and then coming out with 2 more bands from the center 5th to the 5th on the left. You're then going to come back in from the left 5th to the center 6th peg. Then take a single orange and fill in this space here. So that's the 5th center to the 6th. Taking 2 more bands, coming out from the center 6th to the center 7th. And then 2 more from the 7th center out diagonally to the right. We're then going to fill in with some single bands. So taking a single, coming off the 4th right peg, 4th to 5th. You then want to go from the 5th right to the 5th center. We're then going from the 5th right to the 6th center, and then from the 5th right to the 6th right, the 6th right to the 6th center, and the 6th right to the 7th center, and then filling the last one in on the side. We're then going to cap this off 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we can go ahead and loop. You want to be careful on how you loop this up so that all of the pieces connect correctly and in the right order. So go in under the capping band, grabbing the first single band and bringing that up. Go back in, grabbing the 2 bands and bringing them onto themselves to the left. Go back in, grabbing the single band, bringing it onto itself, and then grabbing, no, And then you want to grab this single band on the right and bring it into the center. We can then grab this 2 bands and bring those up. Go back in, grabbing the first single, bringing it to the right. The next single goes straight up, and then grabbing these 2 double bands. Now before we move on to there, we're going to come back over here, grabbing this right one and bringing it up, grabbing this next single and bringing it to the left. We can now go in here, grabbing this 2 bands, bringing those over, and bringing these over as well. And then we can go ahead and loop this straight up. We can then go ahead and remove the wing from the loom. And that's what you get right there. So you go ahead and pause the video and make a second one, and we can move on. Now that we have all of our parts and our pieces, we can go ahead and move on to the main part of the body and attach everything. So we're going to start at the top of the loom with 2 dark orange bands coming out to the left, and then again to the right, coming down 2 times on the left. And unless I specify otherwise, I'll be using double bands. 2 times on the right. And then bringing that into the chin peg. We can then go ahead and fill in the center part of the face. And then coming off the chin peg, bringing that out, back out to the left and to the right. Now before we can go down the sides like we normally do, we have to be able to attach the wings first. So we're going to come down the center. So you want to come down with 2 bands. Then you're going to switch to 3 bands. And then 3 more. And 3 more. We can then stop here so that we can attach the wings. So you want to go ahead and grab those, and if you look, this is actually Norville's belly right here. So you would imagine him like this. If you're looking at the wings, this is the top part of the wings right here. So if it's sitting on his back, we want them to face this way. So if you need to flip your loom to see which way to face it, then do so. So when I put it on, I want to make sure that these are actually facing upside down, like this. Okay? And they are going to attach to this peg, which is the 6th peg down on the center. So I'm going to attach the wings here. I need to flip this one. Uh-oh. Losing a band. Just like that. So the arch part of the wing would be facing you. The flattened part will be facing down. Once we have that in place, we can go ahead and finish filling in the rest of his body. So you're going to come off this top shoulder peg with 2 bands, and you're going to come down a total of 4 times. And you're just going to lay these straight across so that that wing is underneath. And repeat that on the right. Then going to bring it into the center. And fill in the last peg there. And this is what you should have. Once this stuff is in place, we're going to go ahead and attach some of our other pieces. So we're going to go ahead and attach the tail. The tail, since this again is his belly, we want to make sure that our beads are upside down. So we're going to place the tail on the loom this way, not this way. And at the top you had 3 sets of 2 bands. So we're placing them to these last 3 pegs here. So the first 2 bands will go on the right. The next 2 go to the center. And then 2 on the left. And then just kind of tuck it down. Once the capping band is on, we're actually going to pull it a little bit so we're able to actually see underneath for the other bands. We also need to place our horns. Let me move this leg. Our horns are going to go on the top left and our top left, top right. 1 horn on each. And we can also place our hind legs. The hind legs are going to go on these 2 pegs right by the tail. So the 6th and the 7th peg. If you remember, we had 2 full sets. So when you look at the leg, you see that natural separation. So these bands will go on 1 peg and this set will go on the other. Just like that. And repeat that on the other side as well. Just like that. And we also need to place his eyes. And again, I'm using white pony beads. So take your band, pinch it, and we're going to put both white bands onto, or I'm sorry, both white beads onto 1 band. And those will be placed from the 2nd peg on the left to the 2nd on the right. And then separate them and pull 1 band over. Now, if we want to add some of his accents and stuff, we're going to do that now as well. Again, this is the belly side, so if I wait and do it while I'm looping, then all of these little accent colors will end up on this side, and we don't want that. So you can just grab, you can do them wherever throughout the body that you want. What I do is I just take my hook, grab my yellows, use 4 loops, and throw a couple on my hook. And then find where you want to place them. For example, I'm going to place one right here. So I'm just going to pull the top and go ahead and pull some bands. Pull one of those sets on and then replace it. Then I think I'll place one right here. By doing this, when you pull it from the top, you don't have to take everything off if you were to forget. You just find where in all of this you actually want to place your accent colors. Let me put a couple more. I can put one right here, and I think one right here I'll do. And now we just need to place some of our crossover bands. So we're going to start up here at the top, right below the eyes, so on the third peg, taking 2 orange, creating our triangle. We're then going down, not the shoulder peg, but the next set below with 2 orange. You want 2 more orange on the next one. And then 2 more on the next one. We're then going to place a capping band right here, creating 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the arms we will attach as we go up. So we're ready to begin looping, and what I found here, because there is a lot of bands on this peg, is to take your tail, and if you pull this back some and just hook it under there, you're able to see a little bit better what's going on. And I want to go in and grab the first 2 bands, if I can get to them. And bringing those forward. Then we're going to go back in, grabbing the next 2, and bringing those to the left, and then the next 2 to the right. We can then let this go so we don't stretch our bands out too much. We're then going to go straight up the middle, and go back in, go past all of these bands here, grabbing the bottom 2 and bringing them up. Same thing on this peg. And then we want to place the arm on this band. So I'm going to grab my first arm, go in, grabbing and pulling this onto the band itself instead of the peg. And repeat that on the left side. And I'm going to grab the other arm, or front legs, and pulling that on here. Or I can lose my bands completely. Just like that. And now we're going to go in past all of these bands, grabbing the first 2 and bringing those forward, grabbing the next 2, pulling them onto themselves, and then the last 2. And we're going to stop here, go ahead and push these bands down. You want to grab the bottom part of the mouth, which has 2 separate sections of 4 bands. They're going to go on the third peg on the left and the third peg on the right. So I'm grabbing my first set and placing those there. Pull this down so it goes underneath that peg to hold it out of the way, just like that. And then taking the top part of our mouth, there's 3 sets of 4 bands. They're going on the 3rd peg down on the right, the center 3rd, and the left 3rd. So my first 4 bands go on the right. And try to push them down so they don't pop off. The next 4 go on the center. And the last 4 go on the left. Just like that. We're then going to go in under the center peg, grabbing those next 2 bands, and go ahead and loop him up to the top just to hold that in place. Then going in under all of these bands, grabbing the bottom 2, and I ended up with part of the snout. And then we'll go ahead and loop this all the way up. And then doing the same thing over here on the left. And we're then going to grab a single orange, going in through the top and bringing that up, and go ahead and create your slip knot. And we can remove him from the loom. You want to be careful in the bottom so that as you go, the tail has a tendency to keep grabbing onto the pegs as you move up. So you don't want to tear any of the bands. And there's a lot of bands on these pegs. The same thing with the wings. When you get to the section with the wings, make sure that they come out from in between so they don't snag. And now that he's off the loom, we can go ahead and fix him. You can grab your slip knot, tuck it down in to hide it. And then you want to push his eyes forward and pull out his horns, and push the center of the snout out some, and the bottom one just push down with your fingers. And then his wings are back here. And take his back legs, pull those into the center, and pull his tail out some. You can also take your hook in here and pull on these leg bands to readjust his legs so that they're more in a downward position. And just like that. And then just grab your Sharpie, and you want to push the eyes forward so you don't end up drawing on the bands, because I've done that a couple times. And draw on his little eyes. And there is Norville from Wallykazam. So I hope you like him.